time for my next pair of customs. Today I am making a pair for Joshua Nekoba. If you don't know who that is, he's probably one of the biggest names in filming volleyball right now. His only requests were a black shoe with a white midsole, which is why I chose to start with these because of that white midsole. And he wanted nekobavisuals on there in white text. So here's a very badly photoshopped mock-up of the plan. Each one of these swooshes is going to have a different volleyball design, and I wanted his shoes to kind of showcase how much that he does. My last pair took me over 20 hours, and I really don't want to do that again. So I'm going to try to work faster. I'm not necessarily going to rush, but I need to not be spending that long on each pair of sneakers. It's not reasonable, and I don't have time for that. So yeah, let's get started. So on the last pair I made, the paint around the toe box actually started cracking because of the creases. So there's 4 things I'm doing differently about these shoes. The first is pretty aggressively deglazing. Last time I kind of went 1 or 2 passes. This time I'm deglazing a lot. The second thing is I'm going to sand down the toe box area a little bit just to make that surface a little better for the paint to adhere to. Focusing specifically on parts that I think are going to crease. Being pretty meticulous because I'm painting the toe box. So that area is super likely to have creases and super likely for the paint to crack. The third thing I'm gonna do is add some Too Soft to the paint that I'm using on the toe box. It's an additive that basically allows paint to flex with whatever it's adhered to. It's typically used for a canvas or fabric like the tongue, which I am going to use it there as well, but I'm also going to use it on the leather in the toe box so that paint flexes with the creases instead of cracking. I don't have a measuring tool, but you're supposed to add them at a 1-to-1 ratio, so I'm just filling them up side by side in the same container and then I'll mix them. The fourth thing that I'm going to do, and probably the most important, is that I'm going to use really thin coats. On the last one, I used aggressively thick coats, so this time I'm going to be a lot more intentional in using really thin coats. I'm done with getting them to all black, so I'm gonna go ahead and heat set the black right now before I move on to the next part. They look pretty cool. They genuinely look like all black dunks. I'm gonna put just a light coat of white on the swoosh so that the colors just show a little bit more. This is the swoosh that's supposed to represent the women's ball. It doesn't scream women's volleyball to me right away, so I'm a little sad about that. But I knew it was going to be a little bit trippy to try to convert a 3D design onto a 2D surface. And not just that, but also to extend it so that it filled up the whole swoosh. So I think it looks close enough that if you were told what it was, you would see the resemblance. So I'm satisfied enough with that. So I'm going to move on to the other swooshes. Okay, I just finished the international ball, kind of finished it. I'm struggling really hard to get the yellow to have an even coat. I struggled a lot with getting the white to have an even coat on this one as well. I don't know if it's because the base layer I painted is just so streaky, or if it's just something inevitable when you're trying to paint a lighter color on top of a darker color. But I'm gonna let it dry and then I'm gonna try to go over it a little bit more just to try to get that yellow to pop a little bit more. But yeah, this is the left shoe. Both of the swooshes are done. It's just missing nekobavisuals on the back. But I'm gonna go ahead and finish all the swooshes before I move on to the letters. The biggest issue with me freehanding is that The pattern turned out a lot smaller than I intended. Low-key looks like candy, and I don't know how I feel about that. It's a vibe. I don't know if I'm vibing with it, but it's a vibe. Part of me wants to cover it up and redo it more spread out, but I don't know if the white's gonna be able to fully cover the reds and blues. Just gonna leave it as that is, and then just be more conscious to make the design a little bit bigger for the last swoosh. So these took me longer than I thought they would for sure, but my goal was to finish them in one day, and I still did, so I'm happy with that. I still don't love how the men's volleyball swoosh turned out, the red, white, and blue one. It still looks too much like candy to me, but it is what it is. I have to say, this looks really nice with the white midsole. Obviously with the red tape on it, I couldn't really tell, but yeah, this looks nice, the white midsole. The AVP ball looks the coolest, I think, just based on the colors. The international ball also looks pretty cool based on the colors. But yeah, that is the shoe. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna let these sit overnight, and I'm going to put top coat on it tomorrow morning. On my last pair, I used the heat gun to make it go a little faster, but for these, I'm gonna let them sit overnight. I'm gonna clean up a few things first, but then I'll let them sit overnight. All right, we're ready for some top coat. Putting on top coat is like one of my favorite things. First, it's low-key satisfying to just run a jumbo brush across a large surface. But second, it evens out the whole texture and sheen on the whole shoe. Because in the process, the painted parts have a shinier finish than the non-painted parts. Once you put the top coat on, every single part has the same amount and type of shine, and it gives it that nice cohesive look. Okay, here's the big question though. Black laces or white laces? So these came with black laces because they're pandas, but I also bought white laces just because I think it matches the midsole and also the Nekoba visuals on the back. So I'm gonna lace one with each and then see how that looks. Honestly, now that I've laced that up, I am leaning towards black. Like, yes, it matches the midsole, but I feel like it draws too much attention to the laces themselves, and it draws attention away from the designs on the swooshes. Also, the white laces that I got are low-key thicker than I expected. So maybe if they had been thinner, maybe it could have looked nice with the white laces, but we're going with the black. So yeah, here's the final look with the laces on. This design was definitely a fun idea. I don't love my execution of it, but it was a fun one to do and some great practice with freehanding stuff. It's also a cool exercise in trying to get something that's very much not the shape of a swoosh to work on a swoosh. So that was definitely a cool experience. But yeah, here's the final result. Let me know what you think.